So in 2008, Jody quit her career as a corporate lawyer in Manhattan, New York, to live a lifelong dream, a dream to travel on the iconic Trans-Siberian Railways, all the way from Mongolia to Siberia. She had originally planned to come back and join her career, but 1 year on the road changed something for her. She realized her passion for travel and food, started a hugely successful blog which has been covered by New York Times, BBC, Nat Geo, amongst others. And currently she is one of the most popular and the biggest travel bloggers in the world and a source of inspiration for so many of us. But she's not alone in this quest. In fact, BBC has an entire section called How I Quit My Job to Travel the World. Very, very inspiring, and if you haven't seen it, you must read it. It's inspiring no matter what you want to do in life. Because these people are so inspiring and their words are so inspiring. But from Jody, let me move on to a close friend of mine, Nakul. So I'm an engineer and we did engineering together back in the 90s, the late 90s. I went on to do a job and Nakul went to IIM Calcutta and did his MBA there. From there on, he went on to join an oil major and had the opportunity to do some of the projects which are often reserved for people with grey hair. He rose to the ranks and did extremely well in his career. Currently, he works with Shell and is based out of Singapore. Now, Nakul has a career which many of us actually aspire for, and Jody has a life that many of us dream of. However, there's this another group of people. These are the people who do not fit anywhere, yet in some way they fit everywhere. There are people who choose not to quit their jobs and yet travel the world. I aspire to be one such person, and I'm going to share my story here today. Yeah, that's someone. But who am I? Now, to just give you a quick gist, I'm an industrial designer and I work with an organization called Ladle Global Health. We are a not-for-profit organization with the sole objective of helping saving lives. In fact, our mission is to save 500,000 lives every year. And how do we do this? We do this by designing products and solutions, especially in the area of public health and for maternal and neonatal health, and working with partners, which are usually state and central governments, to implement them on field. I'll give you an example. So last couple of years, we've focused quite a lot on working on premature births. So these are the babies which are born before 9 months. They're highly susceptible, and unfortunately, about 1 million of them die every year, with India contributing to a large number there. Now the good news is that as per WHO, about 750,000 of these lives, that's about 3/4 of all of these babies, can be saved by very simple interventions. Very effective, especially in countries like India. So I work on designing these solutions. As an example, here is a cup. It is called the Nifty Cup. This cup is designed primarily to help feed these small babies who cannot suckle on their own. It's a very simple innovation, very cost effective. It was launched last year and it's going to be implemented extensively in India as well as other countries over the next few years. And it will contribute to saving those 750,000 lives. So as an industrial designer with Ladle, what I do is visit healthcare communities, visit healthcare workers, meet families, meet doctors, all stakeholders, identify what their problems are, and then design products to solve them. It's a highly satisfying job. And you know, when I go back home, I sleep really well. I sleep very, very peacefully because I know that the work that I'm doing is making an impact. I know that the work that I'm doing is worth living for. But is this all who I am? Quite early on in my life, I actually discovered my passion for traveling. And not just traveling, but also storytelling and inspiring others to travel. I had led a life where we moved as kids, every 2 years. So it kind of came as as a very early on inspiration for me to just keep moving around and keep seeing new things, get new experiences. But I did my first solo trip during my first job in 2002. This was to Kodaikanal, and it changed something for me when I traveled for the first time on my own. I realized not just that travel gives you these personal experiences and great opportunities to see and do things that you read about only in a magazine, but it also inspires. So when you talk about your travel experiences, it inspires others to travel as well. And not just travel, I see travel as a huge, it's a big change agent. It opens up our minds. It makes us more accepting of others, which kind of in my head makes the world a better place because we don't see the differences anymore. We start seeing things which are common to us, things which connect our hearts. I've met some of the most inspiring people in my travels, and these are the people who have actually shaped me the way I am today. I see myself as a very open person, and I know that by traveling, others can become the same. A couple of years back, because of the way that I travel, I also did a TV show with NTV Good Times. It was called Swiss Made Grand Tour. So what we did is we traveled in Switzerland for a week, did a road trip across the country and made it into a TV series. It was fun, and I could actually today look back and say, okay, I'm very thankful to my stars, and I'm very grateful to my destiny for giving me all these opportunities to travel the world and do all the interesting things, but there's more to it, of course. And I look back and say that there's a certain year in my life when something happened. This is the year 2010. I was already traveling so much, but in 2010, I started my blog. Predictably called The Wanderer because it was a name already used by my friends because I was always wandering around, getting lost, and yeah, for them doing interesting things. For me, it was just my thing. And it's actually today the work that I've done with my blog and things around it that have made me a world traveler. My work has been appreciated a lot by the people who come and read my blog and also by digital and print media, both across India as well as the world. However, the most satisfying thing about traveling and writing about is the fact that when you travel more, you actually get opportunities to travel even more. If you write more, if you photograph more, the world wants you to do it even more. So today I travel across the world, different countries, to different states, different cities, on invitation because of my skills as a travel writer and a storyteller. So I've been to about 20 odd countries in the last 4 years, often traveling with the sole objective of writing about these places and inspiring others. Here's a rough map of what I do. But to me, this is always happening along with a full-time job. I was working while I was doing this life of a travel blogger and a photographer as well. This is because I chose not to have to make a choice between a life at work which was making an impact and my desire to travel the world. So I did in a way make a choice, if you see it. I made a choice to not make a choice. I decided to live both. And I see that as a highly inspiring thing even for me today when I look back. You don't have to quit your job to travel the world. If you love your job or for some reason do not want to leave it, you can still be a world traveler. It is possible. But is there a secret recipe of doing this? Is there something that I can tell you today and you can all follow and figure out a way for yourself? Now there's some good news and some bad news for this. Let's get done with the bad news first. The bad news is that there is no common recipe. There's nothing that I can tell you today which will make it work for you. There's not one strategy which will fit all of your needs. We are all individuals and we all have our needs. And our policy or our strategy would change based on who we are. But there is a good news. Even if our recipe is not the same, the ingredients that make that recipe are very, very similar. So if I give you a blank canvas today and give you 5 colors to paint your image of your country, for example, you will all make something. You'll follow your own process, you'll come up with your end result which will be different from each other, but it will be your own process. It's very similar here also. The same ingredients will give you your own journey in life. So, before I even get down to the ingredients, there's a tiny bit of a precondition for it. You need to let go of a few things when you start something like this. You need to let go of anything and everything that holds you back. No matter what age you are, no matter what gender you are, no matter what your priorities in life are, for now, let go of it. Let go when you start. These will play a role later on in life. That will happen, but start with a blank canvas. So the first ingredient, and this is my second favorite in the list, is passion. Identify what you're passionate about. Identify things that give you joy, that give you happiness. It's such an undervalued term, but I think it's a crux of all that we do, and what's most important to us. Identify that. How do you do this now? One way of doing it is by using yourself. So self-observation. Ask yourself, look yourself. Find out the things that make you happy. And if you're not able to find an answer there, ask people who you trust. Look around for answers. And trust me, when you do reach and identify your passion, if you haven't done it already, when you reach it, you will know it. So you will know it. You'll not need any help in identifying at the end of it. Now, second is core strengths. We all have some qualities that we are inherently good at. These are things which often connect to an invisible umbilical cord with your passion. And these are the things that you need to build on to be able to do this. And if there are certain skills that you require to live your passion, identify those and build on it. So in my case, for example, when I started a blog, I had no idea about HTML programming, so I had to learn it. I didn't know about video editing, so I had to learn it. So based on the journey that you take, you would have a set of skills that you can use from your skill bank which are already there, or you'll have to develop a new set of skills. So you have to do this. Core strengths have to be built upon, new skills have to be gained as you go in this journey. Time works for whatever you do in life. Even more so in this case. For example, I have a 9-to-5 job 5 days a week. So I have weekends and my hours after work left to me. I have to manage my time because I have almost another life that's going on parallelly. And what I do is I work almost 3 to 4 hours every single day when I come back from work. And I spend this time on travel blogging. I write, I edit, I do photography, I do editing, or I learn about these things. All the time goes. Then I have the weekends for travel, I have all the vacations, I have all leaves from office that I use for traveling. And I take unpaid leave sometimes. Plus, I also have my family, I have my loved ones. I love animals, I love spending time with them. So all of that exists together. And if you don't invest on building your management skills for time, it will fail. So becomes very critical in all fields, whatever field you work in, but more so here because you're managing almost like 2 lives together. Strategize. Now this is getting a bit into the nuts and bolts of actually doing it. But before you strategize, prioritize. If you have a work life and you also travel, you need to prioritize between the two. And in my head, there's absolutely no confusion that your work has to take your first priority. You cannot ever compromise on work when it comes to living these 2 lives. Always prioritize work. I'll give an example. Last year, I didn't go to 9 different countries because I had a project going on and there was no way I was going to compromise on the project. I didn't do a TV show last year because of this. And absolutely no regrets about it. If I'm not meant to go there last year, I'll go this year, maybe the next year. But work cannot wait, so give priority to work. Then get down to other things. My strategy of world travel is built around my blog. It could be something else for you, it could be photography, it could be travel writing for a publication, it could be whatever works for you, whatever you are passionate about. So prioritize accordingly, look at data, look at numbers, look at demographics of your users, your followers, and build on all those things. And finally, the fifth and my favorite strategy is do what you love. Eventually, all of this system development is happening purely to give you happiness. You need to love what you do and do what you love. And that, to me, is the most important thing of all of this. I do it for my passion of traveling, for my passion of meeting people, and for my passion of inspiring people to do the same. Find your love in the work that you do. Finally, if I want you to take one single message out of my talk today, it's this. And I actually get goosebumps even when I tell this to myself. Live only once. That's all we have, just one single lifetime and so much to do. So if you want to travel full-time or you want to travel without quitting your job, both are possible, of course. All you need to do is make that choice. things will happen. It will happen like that. Thank you so much.